Tips for Sustainable Web every Friday 7 p.m. by Fluffy and Alex. Two giants of communication, two warriors that connect the world around them. Today we will have a deep dive comparing the two biggest layer 1 blockchains specialized in interoperability, intercommunication and connection between other blockchains. As bridges are usually not a safe way to transfer your crypto from one blockchain to another, those two crypto warriors try to solve this issue, Cosmos versus Polkadot. Which one has the better price performance, which one has better tokenomics for the long run, their activity in 2022 and the most recent developments and insights to understand what is the best choice for our portfolios in the future. Let's start with price performance, or which warrior would be better to hold through the years. If we compare them since September 2020, when both projects were live to purchase in the open market, we can see that although in 2021 Polkadot, the blue line, managed to outperform Cosmos, in the second half Cosmos managed to land some heavy blows and ended up being on top. Get this, if we invested $1,000 in September of 2020 into Polkadot, then today we would have around $1,400 in our pockets. On the other hand, if we invested the same amount of money for the same time period into Cosmos, today we would have around $2,000 for our players. Not a bad look for both of them if we consider that we are in a bear market since 2022. Now guys, if you want to check another awesome crypto battle and learn helpful insights, then click at the suggest video at the right top corner. Now, to understand which one is undervalued or not, and which one is better for the long term for our portfolios, let's have some fun with tokenomics. Polkadot is almost 2 times bigger than Cosmos, with a market cap of $6.8 billion, as Cosmos ATOM has a valuation of $3.5 billion. There are almost 1.2 billion DOT tokens circulating in the open market and 292 million ATOM tokens comparatively. Both projects do not have maximum supply, and similarly to Ethereum, new tokens through staking rewards will be generated forever. The total supply for Polkadot is 1.27 billion DOT tokens, and for Cosmos 325 million ATOM tokens. 94% of the total Polkadot is circulating and 90% of the total ATOM supply comparatively. Basically, almost all the tokens are unlocked, as there are some tokens that have been burned. This means that the only inflation we should worry about is the new tokens generated through staking to secure the networks. At this point of time, Polkadot has 7% inflation per year and Cosmos sits at double the amount. These figures are pretty low for both, as sell pressure from new tokens is not very big and sudden big price drops should not happen. As Polkadot has 7% inflation rate, it is clearly better than what Cosmos displays, although in reality Polkadot is moving between 5 and 10% inflation rates as per original design and staking rewards schedule. The expected amount of DOT tokens till 2025 is 1.5 billion. Are there burning mechanisms? Yes, there are, as Polkadot gathers some fees, slashes and suboptimal staking configurations, which when left unused for a period of time, then those tokens are slowly burned, but the amount is very insignificant at this point and can have any effect on price, if ever. 46.3% of DOT supply is locked in staking to secure the network, which isn't bad, as usually projects aim for 50% for good balance between staking rewards, as inflation and network security. Actually, if we look at this from the perspective of all DOT tokens that are locked, then along with the tokens locked in parachain crowd loans, the total amount locked goes up to 56.3%. Until September 2022, the staking amount was stable between 54-59%. As we saw, it dropped. Would this suggest less conviction in this warrior? I have a theory. We'll share it in a while in our Commendatory. Cosmos, on the other hand, have jumps around 7 and 20% inflation rate per year. It sits at 14% right now and is higher than Polkadot. But till this day, the staking rate is stable around 63% throughout the entirety of the 2022 bear market, which definitely suggests unwavering conviction from investors and ecosystem participants. Did Cosmos manage to find the right formula and retained conviction? We'll see later. Now, one of the most important metrics that we can compare those two is the total value locked. As both have similar use cases and purposes, we will compare the value of their whole ecosystems together, taking into account all their projects. Polkadot has 8 projects contributing to the total value locked, their own blockchains, DEXs, stablecoin issuance protocols, staking protocols, and more. The first 4 contribute the most value, and the whole total value locked of the entire ecosystem is $220 million. If we were to make the claim that the DOT token that are locked for a long period of time in the parachain crown loans also is value locked in the ecosystem, then we would have a figure of $973 million. On the other hand, Cosmos ecosystem seems to be bigger and with more projects contributing to its total value locked. There are 19 projects contributing blockchains of their own that chose to exist and build on Cosmos, leading DEXs, staking, lending protocols, and more. The entirety total value locked of the whole ecosystem sits around $1.22 billion. This is more than 5 times bigger than Polkadot, and Polkadot is the bigger project and is worth more. If we compare their TVL to their market caps, we will see that Polkadot has a figure of 30.9, which is really bad, and although 2.8 suggests overvaluation for Cosmos, it is much better than Polkadot. Even if we take into account that DOT locked in parachains, we would get a figure of 7, still overvalued and still worse than Cosmos. Although looking at their price to sales ratio, we can see that Polkadot, although a lot overvalued, is the one that is much better here and undervalued compared to Cosmos. 23.7 thousand is much better than 408,000. Price to sales ratio tells us how those warriors are valued compared to the revenue they make through fees. Although Cosmos made $441,000 in 1 year through fees, it only managed to keep for itself as protocol revenue $8.8 thousand. This is bad. Polkadot, with the less fees in a year, managed to capture as a revenue a lot more, $291,000. This means that more percentage of fees are kept for the treasury. And if we compare them on their transactional value, then we can see that in one day, $55.1 million were transferred in DOT token and $42 million in Atom tokens were transferred in the same day. For both of them, it is more or less their average amounts in 2022, meaning NVT ratio, or how those figures compare to their market caps, is 133 for Polkadot and 83 for Cosmos. Keep in mind, Ethereum and Bitcoin are jumping around 20 and 60 on this metric. Cosmos looks better. So it's a tough call, but I'm slightly leaning towards Cosmos. Don't know about you guys. Before moving on to discuss more compelling data and recent developments, if you guys already picked your favorite warrior, then you can store both of them safely in one of the safest cold storage crypto wallets out there. If you want to support the channel as well, then you can purchase a ledger by using our affiliate link that you can find in the description down below. Now place your bets, guys. Let's settle this battle once and for all. One of the most important developments for Polkadot in 2022 was the launch of XCM messaging language, which enables all blockchain in the Polkadot ecosystem to communicate and send info from one to another safely, without the need for bridges. An alternative solution was already live on Cosmos since 2021. Now, this is also important for the DOT token, as it can be seamlessly sent across all parachains. In Q3 of 2022, XCM rollout continued without problem. Today we have reached a total of more than 170,000 XCM transfers and messages. If we combine Polkadot's Canary network Kusama used as testnet, then there are additional 200,000 messages sent. At this point, just 2 days ago, XCM v3 went live, which is expected to foster cross-chain interoperability, frictionless crypto asset transfers, NFT support, and more. Another crucial development took place in June of 2022, when the first steps were taken towards full decentralization governance. It is a fact that you need only one DOT to be able to stake on the network and secure it. It is known in the crypto community that DOT has become more of a software at this point than a security, which means the risk of it being declared as such is quite low, as it should be sufficiently decentralized and distributed. Comparing the Nakamoto coefficient between other proof-of-stake chains, we can see that Polkadot is number 1 in decentralization, as it needs 62 validators to collude together to have a chance to launch a malicious attack on the network. This is a rough explanation of what Nakamoto coefficient is. Cosmos, on the other hand, needs only 7, but generally this is considered sufficient for the time being. Also, as seen here, validator stake is evenly distributed. One issue Polkadot faces is that auction slots on crown loans are dropping. Usually Polkadot makes a lot of revenue when those happen. If we don't see reversal and more projects joining the ecosystem, this trend will not help, as more DOT tokens will be unlocked and no new tokens will be locked in parachain, meaning more sell pressure as the demand is lower than the supply. One thing that could help demand is the launch of Parathread that is scheduled for Q1 of 2023. Parathreads are similar to parachains but less expensive and lower duration for lock of the DOT tokens. This will help include and attract more projects to the ecosystem. There are more bright spots for Polkadot. Available treasury keeps going up, as treasury expenses for the most part barely manage to reach 3,000 DOT tokens in a day. Could it be that Polkadot is waiting for the right timing to push its capital to the right direction at the right moment? We will see. The most important thing is the growing ecosystem, which seems to be doing all right, as Aster Foundation, a Polkadot parachain, strikes a $4 billion deal to develop the Web3 ecosystem with a Japanese mobile phone operator. Engine, another project that is also on Polkadot, announces partnership with Square Enix to make Final Fantasy tokenized collectible. Centrifuge is one of the parachains that managed to raise $4 million in a strategic round. The total amount raised by all parachains that attempted it in 2022 was $220 million. Circle announced in September 2022 that its USDC stablecoin will be available on Polkadot and Cosmos as well. Recently, Polkadot launched a Metaverse Championship in Budapest. Despite the fact that in October Polkadot hit an all-time high in development activity, and generally things are looking good for Polkadot, price doesn't reflect that and revenue seems to have been dropping in the last month. The same we noticed with the staking rate in our Tokenomics. One speculation is that Polkadot is not very active on the marketing and social engagement side. This definitely needs more work and focus. DOT definitely has the budget for good marketing, but development comes first. Personally, my theory is that when the time is right, we'll push hard. Polkadot also announced in September that their high development activity is due to the fact that they are building better scalability solutions, which allegedly can make Polkadot transactions go up to 100 times faster. As seen on token terminal, active developers and daily activity is pretty high since the beginning. Polkadot doesn't stop building. Cosmos doesn't look bad either, but falls behind DOT. On average, there were 40 to 50,000 new accounts Polkadot per month created in 2022. For the same time period, Cosmos averaged 60,000 new accounts per month. And despite Cosmos having good development activity, it doesn't shine like Polkadot. Now, one huge topic we should discuss is the ICB cross-chain communication on Cosmos that is similar to XCM on Polkadot. Since the beginning till this day, it proved to be safe and many blockchains have used it to communicate between each other without the use of risky bridges. Till this day, 4.9 million transfers and messages have occurred between chains in a safe manner. The capabilities of ICB on Cosmos have been stress tested through time and is more mature than Polkadot's system. Polkadot still needs to prove itself through time. One survey CoinWire conducted among crypto investors in 2022 showed that Cosmos was one of the most used blockchains among them all. In September, Cosmos placed for voting a governance proposal with the purpose to change Atom tokenomics and to enrich its use cases. The vote didn't pass, but the community and even the founder of Cosmos was against it. Main reasons were that at the beginning of the transition, at least for the first 10 to 20 months, there would be huge inflation for the token. The second reason was that one of the new use cases for Atom would be to act as collateral in the ecosystem for liquid staking, which Jack Won, the founder, wasn't fond of, and a lot more all at once. The high rate of participation in Atom to all proposal is encouraging. It suggests that a token holding community that is actively invested in the future of the protocol. Additionally, the positive, unfettered reaction from the white paper's authors to its criticism suggests more updates and development are coming for the Cosmos ecosystem. I believe we should expect in the future some positive changes for the token and its value. Now, as the Cosmos ecosystem grows, so does the value of the token. The famous decentralized derivatives exchange DYDX announced in June that it will develop its version 4 on Cosmos. Delphi Labs also chose Cosmos to build on in September of 2022. In August 2022, Injective Protocol managed to raise $40 million to expand its ecosystem, which also expands Cosmos. In April, a bridge between Cosmos and Cardano was launched, which can prove a huge deal in the future. One of the most recent developments that didn't make the news in December 2022 was Syntropy, previously known as Noia, decided to leave, get this, Polkadot ecosystem for Cosmos. According to Syntropy, their development team faced a lot of challenges when building with substrate programming language on Polkadot. It didn't meet their specific needs and requirements. They experienced repeated stability issues with their public testnet, and developing business logic for their decentralization was difficult and time-consuming. They chose Cosmos as it's been tested through the years. It has active community of developers, simplified development experience. You can create specialized dApps. Also, it has interoperability, sovereignty, and scalability. Interesting is the least I can say. As we already saw earlier, Cosmos' entire ecosystem has total value that reaches $1.22 billion. Now, this is an important metric to look at when comparing those two warriors. It's like having a soccer team which consists of Messi, Ronaldo, Maradona versus a more expensive team that has far lesser members than those players. At least for now, as my theory is that Polkadot hasn't even started yet, and all that it's lacking is time to catch up and marketing. All in all, Cosmos has a bigger and more valuable ecosystem that grows day by day, even in a bear market, with good development activity, good tokenomics, although remember to stake the token as it makes no sense just holding it when it gets diluted by inflation. Good and battle-tested technology, where more and more projects choose to build on Cosmos, good scalability. The project shows growth in many areas except maybe for the capturing of the fees and the revenue, which might change in the future with better tokenomics and with an active and supportive community. Polkadot, on the other hand, displays a bit of a drop in its parachain auctions, which leads to more unbonding than locking of DOT tokens, lack of marketing, drop in staking, which suggests that community and investors' conviction is wavering. This means although the project has amazing development activity and they are building, they need to address some areas that might have been neglected. Social engagement needs to go up, community needs to grow, as majority of their metrics are good. Tokenomics are decent, but for the value that Polkadot has now, either the demand needs to rise or price of the token needs to drop. So the theory is that they are waiting for the right time to use their resources hard. Only time can tell, guys. So my verdict would be both of them for the long run. Although based on all this info, I am slightly leaning towards Cosmos, and even if I chose both for the long run, if I had to hold only those two tokens, my allocation in the portfolio would be 60-40 or 70-30 in favor of Cosmos. Now, what about you guys? Which one would you choose to hold? That's it for today. If you liked the episode and found it educational and insightful, then like, subscribe, push the notification button, and share. Check if you remain subscribed to the channel. Thank you and bye bye. Till next time, guys.